everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a little big brake upgrade kit. Future man here we are, front brake pad's done, rear brake pad's done. Basically just going to go through what you actually need to do this. All you need is to find a brake yard or someone who's braking a 1.8. That's either a Mark II 1.8 or a Mark 1 1.8. If it's a Mark II, you can go for the 1.6 as well, they have the bigger brakes. And then basically contact them and ask for the carriers, which are these parts. You don't need the whole caliper is exactly the same. You just need this caliper and it all basically all bolts in. It lets you take a bigger disc and a bigger pad. What I did, as you probably can see, is I got the pair of discs and the pads with it because he wanted 20 quid or 30 quid for everything, which is a really good deal. I'm going to go through some EBCs very soon, but I just wanted to get this on, get a video done. The car's not going to be driven a huge amount, so on the rear I don't have any backing pads for them. It's not the end of the world, you can drive them like that, but it's not really recommended. Again, I've only done that just for the video purposes, and just because I wanted to get it done, because during this current situation, the car's not going to get driven a huge amount and I'm quite bored, so I need to find things to do. And it's a good little video for you guys. So I'm going to put the car all back together, and yeah, that's them all in. Plus 5 brake horsepower for red brake calipers, but I'll show you how to do it right now. So first of all, I want to apologise for the wind. It's up and down at the moment. The lovely weather that we had has disappeared. However, today we're going to be installing, as I said, a little big brake kit. Basically, it's the brakes from the 1.8 or the Mark II, because the 1.6s had these tiny small brakes. These are the rear, obviously, and then we're going up to these sides. So we'll do some comparison right the way through. We're going to start on the rear. I'll take you through how to do it all. This is the first sort of set I did the brakes on the other side, but this is the first time I've ever done any sort of brake work, so I'm learning as I go. Make sure you jack yourself car up, get up on jack stands, and then yeah, we've already started to paint the caliper just so I could skip a bit of time, and that was all painted down there as well, just because you get that extra 5 brake horsepower from being red, as everyone knows. There's a 14mm jack, a 14mm nut there. We need to remove that. Inside that there is a little hex Allen key. No, you need an Allen key to undo a grub screw that's in there. And now we're going to do this little rubber grommet that's down here, so you just give this a pull and that will come off, he says. Yeah, so that comes off. Again, all your parts, just put them to the one side, don't lose them. And now you need a 10mm. So put that on there. And then you're just going to undo the bottom piece here. Hopefully that's all in camera for you. So that's out of there. So once you've smashed your thumb up and you've removed this bolt and loosened off what you needed to loosen off, we can then just rotate the caliper upwards. So it's a nice smooth motion, rotating upwards. Like that. And then push it that direction, the caliper will come off. Make sure when you are removing the caliper that you're not scraping it along anything and not going to bend these rubbers or tubes too much. They are flexible, but only to a certain point. Caliper up in a nice position, so it's out of the way, and one of your pads falling off. These pads are in really good condition. They're really good quality. Well, not good quality, they've just got a lot of life left of them, because I think they were done before I brought the car. However, they're no use to me, so they can come off. Next, we need to remove the disc. Now, discs might be a bit solid on there, so grab our trusty hammer man, feet. No, that didn't work. Finally. I beat the shit out of that for a good couple minutes. Yeah, so they're lined up on top of each other now. So you can see the difference. Right the way around. And that's just on the rears. Obviously on the front it's going to be even better. However, because the disc is bigger, you'll see that when we slide this on, we've got a few issues. The metal shield, well, once we slide this off anyway, because that's going to have to be put on like that, but this metal shield we're going to have to bend off. But let's take the carrier off first. So you've got two 14mm on the rear. Again, you might break your knuckle when you do these, because sod's law, I know I will. Carrier is off. This is our new brake, or new disc. So if we slide that disc in, you'll see we've got a slight issue. What we need to do is grab some pliers and bend this all out. It's pretty simple. It's just basically you want to work your way around. So grab your pliers and just start bending. So new disc fits on. No, not yet. Ceramic grease, not silicone. There we are. So yeah, get some ceramic grease, put it on the inside of the hub. It'll just help with any sticking. Help to avoid that, because it's not great when it happens. Now we're going to put the carrier back on. Or our new carrier. So this again is the 1.8 carrier. It's bigger than the 1.6 one, funnily enough, because it holds bigger pads. So you use the same mounting hardware, and we can just clip it all in. It's going to be a bit more difficult. So we can there we are. Now we get new pads and some mounting hardware. So you've got these two little metal clips. These two little metal clips go in, one at the bottom, one at the top, like that. And then your pads will go in like so. That lines up there, and that lines up. Looking good. So, oh bloody hell, that's a bit of wind. Once they're clipped in like so, you'll grab your little springs. So these little springs will go in like this. They slide in under there and they push in between these two little brackets. So you're going to give it a little squeeze. Slide it in. Out. Hoop. Hopefully like that. Hopefully you can see how that goes in. And what that does is puts a little bit of spring on them, just to hold them out. Now, a bit more ceramic time. So we're going to ceramic up this pin, and we're going to ceramic up the pin that goes in there, but obviously that's once we get the caliper on. So I'm going to move you there, just because I've got to bring the caliper around. So again, you want to try and make sure you keep your ceramic grease as least amount of cross contamination as possible. Oh, there we are. Now we're gonna fuck me. Tell you what, that's probably a lot easier if it's not painted and you're trying to be delicate with it. But I am, so that's just the life I've chosen. Now those springs should be sitting right. Oh. Yeah, sitting underneath the caliper. That's good. That's good. I keep calling it silicone. It's grease. So yeah, get your ceramic grease. Make this nice and coated. Right the way around. Slide her in. Boop. And grab your 10mm. If you're gonna do it, clean your hands properly. Or wear tracksuit bottoms so you can just, doesn't matter if you get it all day. So I'm gonna tighten this up. Is find the little hole back here. Find that little hole. Slide this back in. I'm going to tighten it up. And we're going to tighten it up to the point where we can't rotate the caliper. We can't rotate the brake. What we'll do is we'll loosen it off slightly. And get like half a turn. Nope, still can't do it. Half a turn. And that now rotates, right? And tighten that all back in. So that is the rear caliper done. Pretty simple to do actually. I'm going to do the fronts as well, but I just thought I'd start on the rears because they're meant to be more difficult. Basically all you need to do is buy the carrier, but the whole carrier piece, which as you saw us put on. But what I ended up doing is buying the carrier, the pads and the discs off a guy because they're all in really good condition and I only paid 30 quid. So that's a really good bargain. Most of the time you'll just find the carriers for 30 quid and then you've got to buy discs and stuff. I am looking to get in some new EBC discs and pads all round, which again I'll have to take this all off and do it, but who really knows what's happening at the moment. Race season might even be cancelled. Oh, two things I just want to quickly go over as I've brought you back is make sure you put a little bit of lube or grease on the sliding parts on both sides, just so the pads can move freely. Just make sure you don't put so much on that it goes on the brake pad, on the disc itself. Number two is make sure that you've opened up the brake reservoir, so when you're actually winding these back there's somewhere for the brake fluid to go. I didn't mention in the video, but I did it, I just forgot to say. And second of all, I know these don't have the backing plates on. Don't worry, I've actually only put these on just for the video. It won't be driven like this, I've just done it just for the video. So we are moving on to the fronts now. As I say, pre-painted them slightly just to save myself some time and some life. And all we're going to do is undo this bolt, undo this bolt. This is 17, this is a 14. Take them out, take that off, take the carrier off, load the carrier. So the new carrier is here with the pads. I'm going to load the carrier beforehand. But before we do that, let's just see the difference. Alright, so this is the 1.6 disc, and that is the 1.8. If we put them up, look at them differences. Still again, look, that's the differences between them. So yeah, we're going to do a very similar thing to what we did on the rear, but this time for the front brakes. I've also got new mounting hardware, which you can get from pretty much anywhere. These are from MX5 parts, but it's just because I was missing a couple of spring clips, so I thought I'd just buy a whole pack and do it that way. Once you've got your car jacked up, what you want to do, get the wheel turned so you can get access to these bolts. It just makes things a lot easier. especially if you're using a gun. So we're gonna just enough to crack the bolts. That's one. So 17 on top. And 14 on the rear. It's a bit more difficult because I've got a camera in the way, but you know, that's life, isn't it? So this one is a bit gunky actually in there. Ooh, it's gonna need some grease. Alright. So remember, the big one goes on the top, the small one goes on the bottom. Grab yourself a zip tie. The reason you want a zip tie is to make sure the caliper's not sitting on anywhere, so it could fall off. A bit like what we did on the rear. So let's just give these a pull out. Let it rotate round. And that'll come off. Then have your zip tie, and we're just gonna there we are. So that can just hang there, not causing any damage to your brake line. Next, back to the caliper. Take out these little springs. Oh, and your pad now and then. Look at the life on these. Look at the life. You know, anyone who wants any pads, hit me up. I don't need them, so. And then what we're gonna do, take out these bolts here. So one here, one here. They're both 14. Grab your gun, line them up, and oh, they weren't meant to come out all the way. Anyway, that's your supporting bolt out. Again, these are 14mm. So this will cause your carrier to move around quite considerably, actually. There we are. We're gonna get this off. So, grab yourself Mr. Hammer, mate, and give them a bit of a whack. So, after beating the shit out of it, we're off. I'm gonna just wire brush it all down and give it a good spray. We're then gonna need to bend this out of the way so we can get in our disc, because we have a slight issue like I did beforehand. Where and the disc makes a slight bit of contact when it's completely seated, so we're just going to push it back a bit, just for peace of mind really, and to make sure we're not, yeah, so we're going to bend these up once we've cleaned this up. Go in. It's probably a bit rusted anyway, so it'll bend quite easy. We'll just flatten it all out slightly. New disc, first thing. Obviously, this obviously is not a brand new disc. Again, I'm just putting these on until I get some EBCs. Because of the current situation, the car's not really going to be driven a huge amount. So these will do for now. And it gets a nice video up for you guys. Because I've seen there's a few people on different forums asking if it's possible, how it's done. And this is how you do it. So just give them a nice clean up. Side. Gets rid of any grease and crap and all that sort of stuff. We've wiped them all down. We're then going to add some of our ceramic grease for the hub. Really sort of need a paintbrush for this sort of stuff, but hey. It's ready to go on. And we're just going to quickly secure that with some bullets. So quickly secure that in. Put it on the lightest setting anyway, so it's not gonna thing. Double check that you've got clearance. What we scraping on? Scraping on something. And that's why we double check. Ah, there. So right here, we've got an issue. And now with that where we were, back to where we were, everything on, we're now nicely cleaned up. Not cleaned up, but sprayed on. Now, a little bit more brake cleaner, just on that face. There we are. Now it's time to get the carrier on. So let's bring you back around this side. So where is our carrier? So we've got the new carrier here. So what you can do with the old hardware is, where's a bit of the old hardware gone? There we are. So this, what you can do is give it a nice clean up, sand it all down. It's basically what I did with this before I painted it. These little metal clips, you can paint, or you can buy a whole new set, like this one here. Just make sure that you get the right set for the 1.8, because the springs are slightly different. Hopefully that makes it easy for you to see. And they're going to basically be fitting on the inside of these. So these clips go on the outside, and then you'll see a flat, like a curved bit, which goes on this curved point here. So if we use this one's going to sit like that. That will sit in like here. So put the outside clip in first. I found if you get a screwdriver, do it like this. Just helps you seat the carrier and clips everything a bit better. So hold like that, clip her in, and then help it seat properly using these. Paint it on. Just get it everywhere. And then tiny it, do a little bit just on the edges bits, but make sure that you don't get it on the brake material, because then you'll have not a nice day when you come to try and stop. And tiny little bit just on these little moving parts here. Slide your rear plate on, like so. Slide her into the caliper. Again, it goes in like so. So the rear at the bottom gets this mounting bracket, gets the bracket that stops it scraping. There's been a few reviews that I've seen that said that you don't have to preload them. There's been some that say you do. I had to preload it because I just couldn't physically fit the pads in, so that's why it's done this way basically. Now we're gonna line her over. And, line them up. Now, back to your hardware. Grab your spring clips. Now these lovely little springs, these are the old ones. Need them. Boom. The big pads, but they're thinner, maybe. Anyway, so grab your springs and you'll see there's little holes. You got one there, one there. You see that little hole it goes into? It's going to be the same on the bottom. And you should now allow these to move. You're nearly there now. Last bit. That bad boy. So what you need to do is compress the caliper. So you need a C-clamp and an old brake pad, primarily, is the best way of doing it. So what we're going to do is pop that in. See how that is? Oh. Like that. And get yourself a C-clamp. Hope it's big enough. Now the proper way of doing this is using a piston compressor, but I don't have one of them, unfortunately. Also at this point, check your caliper, make sure it's okay. Annoyingly, battery swap battery died at that point, but hey, we're in now. So what we've got next is to line these bolts up and get them in. So grab something to clean down the bolts. Top one first, so that's your big bolt. So we're going to clean it off with something to degrease it, and then grab our ceramic grease. And get this nice and lubed up. So this is what it slides on. So you need to make sure this is nice and lubey. There's a joke in there somewhere. Making sure that it goes quite comfortably through those rubbers, making sure they're not destroyed at all. There we are. Same again for the bottom one. Again, make sure these are nice and lubed. And so these are 49 foot-pounds, as far as I can remember. I will go around and talk that all down in a second, do not worry. So the caliper is all back together. What we're going to do is just give it a bit of a spray down. Don't worry too much about brake cleaner, it's pretty good, it atomizes itself. So thank you all for watching. Hopefully it's a bit of a long video, but hopefully you've learned something from it. It's the first time ever putting brakes on, so yeah, brakes are on. They're all going to get cleaned up anyway, and the new EBCs will go on when they sponsor us, or when I buy them. Hopefully they sponsor us, they're not going to though. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, rate and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.